Hey everyone, it's Mike Shetty with Horse Racing Nation and Derby Wars, and your co-author of the 2013 Breeders' Cup Super Screener. Folks, we are just days away from the most exciting 2 days in racing. That's right, the 30th running of the Breeders' Cup event. And as horse players, we know what that means. Big, large, contentious fields and huge wagering pools with a lot of uninformed money in them. The whole point of the Super Screener is to help us all get more informed as we dive into those warm, cozy wagering pools. Now, the key to winning success, you have to have conviction as you wager into the Breeders' Cup races. The fields are just too large, too contentious to do a lot of spreading. You've got to have some conviction in these races. So the premise of the Breeders' Cup Super Screener is to help us identify those low-priced favorites that are instant eliminations. And in the last 2 years in our Stand Against videos, and I'm going to give you a couple of here today, but in the last 2 years, we've gone on record, they're still on YouTube, we've picked 9 marquee type horses: Uncle Mo, The Factor, Turbulent Descent, horses like Game On Dude. These are stand against horses. We are now batting 8 for 9. Most of these horses didn't even finish in the trifecta. In fact, the vast majority never even hit the superfecta. So this is critical when we're building our tickets and you're playing these races. Also, we want to find the value horses, those horses that are 10 to 1 or higher that have the best shot at hitting the board. And many of these races have huge numbers of 20 to 1 or more horses, and we're helping you isolate which 1 or 2 of those has the best shot to finish in the top 4. Alex Zito and I have conducted a massive study, which we continue to do each year. This is an adaptable, flexible screening system. And what we're looking for are recurring patterns, but with very unique data. We have now well over a decade of races that we've looked at. What makes a vulnerable favorite vulnerable? What makes a long shot that hits the board a likely selection? What horse has the best chance of winning regardless of price? What are the patterns that distinguish winners from losers? Long shots that hit, favorites that don't. In all those years of races, of all those horses we examined, we look at over 40 very unique handicapping variables on every horse. And here's the amazing thing. Every single race has 10 to a dozen very unique screening rules. For example, do you know which race in the Breeders' Cup demands that you have a long layoff? There's only one. What about those races where hitting a lifetime top is good news? And what about those races where that's really bad news? What about prep patterns? Is ascending or declining a good pattern? You'd be surprised which race demands a declining pattern. Also, what about pace and speed dynamics? Each race is unique. Some races favor horses with late energy distribution profiles, others with an earlier running style. The point is, we can't remember these from year to year, and they change, even if so slightly, from year to year as we get more and more data. Let me give you 2 stand-against horses here for 2013. We'll start with the sprint first. The winner of last year's race was Trinniberg. You know he's going to get bet just because of the fact that he won this race last year. But the Super Screener says major stand against, primarily for 2 reasons. One of the Super Screener criteria is you really can't have more than an 8-point swing in the speed rating of your last 2 prep races. This guy has a wild swing. Plus, you need to have an ascending pattern in your speed ratings, and this horse is going just the opposite direction. Might have been good this time last year, no way this year. Major elimination. Next horse I'm going to give you comes out of the mile. One of the only horses to have defeated Wise Dan in the last couple of years, and that is Silvermax, the decisive winner in the Shadwell Mile that got turned over to the poly track. This horse is a complete stand against, despite the fact, because he beat Wise Dan, he'll be going off at a very low price. This horse violates one of the most critical mile criteria. That is, in this race, a top is a very negative sign. And that's exactly what he achieved in his last race. In addition, his wire-to-wire running style has not done very well in this race throughout the entire history of this race. In addition, he's had a long campaign, about 6 races I believe, without really any substantial break. That combined with a top is really super negative. And you know this horse is going to go off at 6, maybe 7, maybe even 5 to 1. Complete stand against. In the coming days, I'll have the second part of our stand againsts. What happens to Game On Dude? Where do we stand on Wise Dan? What about Groupie Doll? And many of the other marquee favorites that will be running in this race. Now go to www.superscreener.com to learn more about this exciting product and how you can order yours and get on the reservation list. We'll be releasing our first initial book here on Thursday after the pre-entries on Wednesday. And then once the post positions are drawn, We'll give you our final selections, including wagering selections. We've got so much more new material in this book. Again, superscreener.com. In the coming days, we'll tell you more about the findings that have come out of this year's study. So until then, I want you to go fast and win.